Greetings and welcome to Game Movie Recap. In this presentation, we will delve into the narrative of The Wolf Hour. This cinematic work traces the path of June Leigh, was once a prominent figure in the counterculture scene, but has since chosen to isolate herself in her South Bronx residence during the tumultuous summer of Sam in 1977. As an invisible adversary manipulates June's vulnerabilities, her closed-off world begins to disintegrate. Join us as we delve into the plot of The Wolf Hour to uncover its intricacies. Our story commences in a disorderly South Bronx apartment where June is roused from slumber by the persistent doorbell. She groggily answers the intercom but receives no response. After glancing out the window and finding no one waiting outside, she continues her day. The news reports a rising death toll due to a heatwave, urging everyone to stay indoors and stay hydrated. The news also carries a grim tale of a serial killer on the loose, specifically targeting women with long dark hair. The killer has sent a menacing letter to the police, indicating their work is far from finished. As the doorbell chimes once more, June listens to the intercom but hears nothing except feedback. Frustrated, she answers the intercom, threatening to confront the person on the other end. However, upon opening the door, fear grips her, causing her to quickly shut it again. Moments later, she overhears men arguing downstairs, and the building manager notices her peeking and heads upstairs. June gathers money from her drawers and discreetly slips the bills under the door, which the manager retrieves from the other side. Upon counting the remaining money, she realizes she's running low on cash. In a state of desperation, she reaches out to her friend Margot to request a loan. Margot offers to visit and provide the money, but June insists on having it sent by mail. Tearfully, she tries to persuade Margot not to come, but Margot is resolute and ends the call.
But it's not a good time, Margot. I'm very busy, and I won't be here.
June, confronted with her disorderly apartment, is compelled to clean up before her friend's arrival. She staunchly refuses to venture outside and instead secures a rope to her garbage bag, lowering it to the front of the building. However, the bag becomes too weighty, causing rope burns on her palm. In the afternoon, June wakes to the doorbell again, voicing her irritation at the intercom. This time, someone finally responds, and she lets in Freddie, the new delivery person who brought her groceries. After paying and getting her groceries, she asks Freddie if he had rung her doorbell earlier, which he denies. She requests Freddie to take out her trash, and he asks for an extra $3 and permission to use her sink in return. While Freddie cleans up in her bathroom, June remains uneasy with someone in her apartment. After he leaves, she watches him walk down the street, greeted by the men across the building. When she notices her cigarettes missing from the grocery bags, she reports it to the grocery manager and finds an old cigarette in her ashtray as a replacement. During lunch, she briefly contemplates a discreet dating ad in the newspaper but dismisses the idea. The doorbell rings again, and June answers, thinking it's Freddie, but gets no response through the intercom. As she turns away, the doorbell chimes again, prompting an angry threat and a call to 911, though she hesitates when the operator inquires about her emergency. That evening, the TV news reported another victim of the ongoing serial killings in the city, with the criminal leaving a message for the police, addressing the people of New York City.
A cryptic calling card. The killer began his letter with a greeting. Hello.
The following day, Margot visits June's apartment, initially met with reluctance. After some reassurance, Margot persuades June to allow her in. Margot is shocked by the apartment's chaotic state, filled with books and garbage. The condition heightens Margot's concern, and she offers June solace as they clean up. While teddying, Margot finds a copy of June's book, The Patriarch, and June reveals more copies, urging Margot to discard them, although Margot hopes to keep some. Nevertheless, Margot leaves a copy on the bookshelf and another in her bag to take home. In the late afternoon, Margot encourages June to join her for dinner, but June remains unresponsive. Alone, June takes her first step outside her apartment, attempting to descend the stairs, her legs stiff and trembling with fear. When June awakens from a sweat-drenched nightmare, she overhears Margot talking on the phone about her hearing. Margot describes someone as sick, which deeply affects June, leading to a shaky and tearful moment when she sees her unwell reflection in the mirror. Later that evening, June and Margot share drinks and laughter. June confides in Margot that she believes she is safe within the apartment as it was a haven created by her grandmother during her childhood. Margot is concerned that June is clinging to her past, which sparks a heated argument about their respective careers and their history. Their argument is interrupted by a persistent doorbell. June implores Margot not to answer it, so she checks outside the building, finding no one there. The buzzing eventually stops, allowing the women to relax. Recognizing the dangers of living alone, Margot gives June a gun. Although skeptical, June accepts it. That evening, June discreetly stashes the gun beneath the floorboards near her bed. The next day, June discovers Margot going through her manuscript, which astounds Margot. Margot encourages June to complete and publish it, but June chooses to set the manuscript ablaze and insists that Margot leave, accusing her of finding pleasure in June's misery. June retrieves her book from Margot's purse and hands it back to her friend. Confused, Margot departs, leaving June yearning for the past. June watches a recording of her interview from 4 years ago when her book, The Patriarch, gained notoriety, sparking a criminal investigation into her father and his company. This led to June's estrangement from her family. The interviewer casually mentioned her father's passing, news that June had not heard until then. As she watches her past self on screen, June pauses the video, focusing on the tears that once moistened her eyes. Later in the day, June contacts her publisher, Francesca, to request an advance. Francesca denies the request, reminding June that she received an advance 4 years ago but failed to deliver another book. June pledges to complete a manuscript within a month to avoid repaying the debt. She retrieves her old typewriter from the closet and prepares to start writing. After struggling for hours to begin, June eventually runs out of cigarettes. Freddie delivers a new pack of cigarettes, assuring her that he didn't steal her previous ones. From her window, June observes a street fight involving men across the street. She questions why Freddie is associating with those men, but he denies being their friend and simply expresses a lack of fear toward them. June notices a burn scar on Freddie, a remnant from a building fire that claimed his mother's life, an incident allegedly caused by the owners but never proven in court. Before departing, Freddie advises June to be cautious, as she could become the target of the men's aggression. That evening, the doorbell chimes once more, making June approach it cautiously, activating the speaker but hearing only the street's noises. To pass the time, June indulges in solitude, drinking and smoking while listening to the radio. Frustrated by the distressing news, she switches to a music station and momentarily immerses herself in dancing to the beat. However, her moment of bliss is interrupted when the song ends and the sounds of the street return. Several days later, a police officer named Blake finally visits June to address her report from a week ago. The area's high crime rate had delayed the police response. June invites him inside and shares her concerns about someone persistently buzzing her doorbell, even during the night, believing it to be an intimidation tactic. Blake suggests checking outside to identify the person, but June is too frightened to do so. Since there haven't been any explicit threats, Blake can't classify it as harassment. Instead, he offers a questionable deal, promising her protection in exchange for an intimate advance. As he leans in to kiss June, her fear renders her frozen, but fortunately, he receives a radio call about a nearby fire and leaves. June expresses her anger and frustration as he departs. June sits in front of her typewriter, channeling her rage onto the paper. Her furious typing causes her rope burn to sting, prompting her to change her bandages. While preparing to return to her work, she notices a recorder under her desk and plays an old recording of herself discussing society's self-destruction, which sparks an idea. She dedicates the day to her new manuscript, finding the inspiration that had eluded her for too long. June ignores the mysterious doorbell buzzing, working until late at night. Unfortunately, her luck runs out when the recorder malfunctions and ruins the tape. In the late hours, June hears music emanating from a neighbor's window across the street. As she peers from her window, she observes two people engaging in an intimate encounter, which piques her curiosity and prompts her to begin touching herself. However, the experience abruptly ends when she notices another man watching her from a window in the neighboring building, causing June to retreat in fear. The day after the previous night's events, June decides to give in and contacts the agency from the newspaper to arrange for a companion for the evening. They send Billy to her, and although their initial interactions are awkward, June even asks him to leave when he makes the first move. However, when Billy refuses payment, June takes a leap of faith, and the two spend the night together engaging in an intimate encounter. Following their encounter, June plays a vinyl record of her grandmother singing. She explains that her grandmother acquired the apartment after the war, and it became a sanctuary for her during family troubles. When Billy inquires why she called for his services, June admits her fear of leaving the apartment, concerned about the damage she might cause outside. This conversation brings them closer as they both share their personal stories. Later that night, the doorbell buzzes once more, awakening June and Billy. Billy investigates but finds no one outside, suggesting that whoever is behind this might be encouraging her to go outside. The following day, June renews her confidence, starts writing again, and works on her manuscript for several days, even though her cash is dwindling. Despite the financial strain, she remains dedicated to her work in the hopes of getting her life back on track. Finally, she completes her manuscript and contacts Francesca to share the good news, but her publisher refuses to speak with her. In desperation, she hires Freddie to deliver her manuscript, and seeing her desperation, Freddie negotiates to get as much money as he can from June. Ultimately, June gambles the remainder of her money to get her manuscript to Francesca. Overwhelmed with emotions, June calls Margot's voicemail to apologize and share news about the book, only to be surprised when a young girl answers the phone, revealing that Margot isn't home. Later in the day, June attempts to reach Freddie by calling the grocery store, but the manager insists they have no employee named Freddie. In the evening, June anxiously responds to the doorbell, hoping it's Freddie, but gets no reply. A storm brews outside her apartment, leading to a citywide power outage. Panicked voices fill the streets as chaos ensues. June lights candles in her apartment, witnessing the turmoil outside as the phone lines go dead and the store across the street is looted. Radio news reports escalating crimes and fires in the city due to the heat and power outages. A tense situation unfolds near her, becoming violent after the police arrive, and unfamiliar sounds near her door prompt her to cautiously investigate before barricading herself inside. Looking out her window, she witnesses a police car set ablaze and gunshots ring out. In the midst of the chaos, she glimpses a figure resembling Freddie fleeing from a police officer. Desperate to reach him, June leaves her apartment and descends the stairs. She reaches the front door and finds the streets on fire. Crossing the street carefully, she sees an unconscious man on the pavement, initially thinking it's Freddie. However, when the injured man gets up, it becomes apparent he's not Freddie. Another man emerges from the ruined store, eyeing her with hostility, but ultimately leaving June alone amidst the chaotic streets. For the first time in a long while, June embraces the outside world. Navigating a fiery alley, June glimpses the distant sunrise, a powerful symbol of hope heralding a fresh start in the midst of desolation. Months later, June is interviewed about her latest book, Season in the Abyss. When asked if the book's character is inspired by herself, she responds with a coy smile, leaving the movie to conclude. What are your thoughts on the film? Please share your feedback in the comments section. We value constructive criticism. If you enjoy the recap, give it a thumbs up by hitting the like button, and consider subscribing if you loved it. Feel free to share this content with your friends and family too. Check out our channel for more movie recaps that suit your preferences, and make sure to ring the notification bell to stay updated with our future videos. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in our upcoming videos.